Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back. This week's Parsha is Parshas Vayeilech. And this Parsha has two mitzvahs. One mitzvah, the mitzvah of Hakel, which is relevant to this year, that we should all gather people together, people who we know, and reenact the story of the giving of the Torah and inspire them. And the other important mitzvah is about writing a Sefer Torah. And that's the mitzvah we're going to focus on. If we look back at history, we don't find that every person who had money or was a great person would buy a Sefer Torah. So how did people fulfill this mitzvah throughout the ages? So there are several possible solutions which the Rebbe brings down in the Sefer. One solution is that there is the opinion of the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, who writes that nowadays the obligation is to actually buy practical Sfarim, Chumash, Mishnayos, Gemara, and their commentaries, and the Sefer Torah is something that's left in shul. So we fulfill the mitzvah by buying Sfarim. However, some commentaries disagree with this, and they say that the concept of buying Sfarim does not replace the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. So what are the other solutions? So one answer we have is that when somebody lives in a community and the community acquired Sefer Torah because people bought them and then gave them over to the Rishus, to the ownership of the shul. There are different levels of how to give them over to the shul. Some people keep them in the shul to be used, but they retain ownership. Some people give them entirely over in a nice way, in a generous manner. So by giving it over to the shul, so we all have a part in it. The question is still, how does membership in a shul help one fulfill the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah? So for that, the Rebbe says, we can answer, and there's a concept of Leiv Beis Din Masna, that the Beis Din can give a stipulation and say that they are granting every member of the community a portion in the Sefer Torah that belongs to the community. And therefore, by being a part of the community, they automatically fulfill the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. It's especially true when the community commissions the writing of a Sefer Torah. So then it helps even better because it can be said that the Beis Din assumed that the writing is done on behalf of everybody. Likewise, when from time to time the Sefer Torah needs to be repaired, so the repair work, the touching up, can be an opportunity for this conditional giving over by Beis Din to every individual, that everybody has a part in the Torah. We can also say that when people get an aliyah in the Torah, that they are authenticating the Sefer Torah, which is also a manner of touching up the Sefer Torah, or even better than that. But then there is even a better way to do this mitzvah. That is by writing or buying a letter in the Sefer Torah. Usually, when a Sefer Torah is about to be completed, the family which sponsors the Sefer Torah will offer letters for sale. So that opportunity of buying a letter is a time to fulfill the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. Obviously, if somebody is of proper means financially and they can afford to do so, then writing or commissioning the writing of an entire Torah is a hidur mitzvah, which means it's a manner of beautifying the mitzvah. It's doing the mitzvah at the best level. But even those who don't do it with an entire Sefer Torah, they're just being a member of the community, or even better, they're buying a letter, they still fulfill the mitzvah properly. Now, it's worthwhile to mention that when a child is born, the Rebbe strongly encouraged, as soon as a boy has his bris, or a girl gets her name, her Jewish name, he or she should get a letter in the Sefer Torah. and the Rebbe often encouraged buying a letter in the general Sefer Torah, which is written on behalf of Klal Yisrael. So that's something to bear in mind. That's something to do if one hasn't done so already. In Hayom Yom, it's mentioned there's an advantage of buying a letter in the Sefer Torah. Every single Yid has a letter in the Sefer Torah because the name Yisrael, Israel, is an acronym for the words Yesh Shishim Ribi Ois Torah, that every Yid that there has a connection to the Torah, because there are 600,000 general letters in the Torah. A special way of calculating that, which correspond to the number of Jewish people there are, or general number of Jews, which is 600,000 main neshamas. And in addition, there is a Jewish custom that after somebody passes away, particularly if the person was a Talmid Chacham or a tzadekes, a righteous woman, or somebody who didn't have children, that a Sefer Torah is written on their behalf. Otherwise, there have been responses from the Rebbe that it would be preferable to support a Talmid Chacham or perhaps an institution of Torah learning as opposed to buying another Sefer Torah for a shul, especially the shul has plenty of Sefer Torah already. So in that case, it would be better to prioritize tzedakah by supporting Torah in giving money to a Talmid Chacham or a institution which encourages Torah learning. That's similar to a Hera from the Friedrich Rebbe regarding authoring books. Even though authoring books is a very important endeavor to do, nevertheless, when one authors a Jewish Sefer, it does not guarantee that everything one says is 100% accurate. But when one encourages you to put on tefillin, then they're definitely connecting them to Hashem. The Rebbe concludes one of the sichos that by fulfilling the mitzvah of Sefer Torah, which is the last mitzvah in the Torah, we will merit to end, to have the last part of Galus, and then we will have Mashiach who will write his own Sefer Torah, and at that time we will all write a Sefer Torah, because we will be doing all mitzvahs in a perfect manner, which includes writing Sefer Torah and acquiring Sefarim. Have a good Shabbos and a Gemara Chasima Taiva to us and all of Bnei Yisrael.